According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, 76% of U.S. workers reported experiencing at least one symptom of mental health, whether that's stress, anxiety, depression, and burnout, underscoring the widespread impact and risk of our workforce.
The phrase human resources is very, very popular, but we're human. We're not resources. There's also another study. This is pre-COVID. $1.3 trillion is spent on chronic healthcare in America. 90% of this chronic healthcare. If we could eliminate chronic healthcare somehow, physical, mental, emotional, we could decrease the cost. Healthcare insurance should be more mobile with the individual, but the system is the way the system is right now. And for a company to really care about its workers, its employees, because it is this organization, this organism, we want people to be healthy, not just to do their function, but to live their life.
You are listening to Personalization Outbreak, a podcast about the collapse of traditional corporate standards in today's more personalized world. I'm Glenn Llopis. I'm a leadership strategist, author, contributor to Forbes, and founder of the Leadership in the Age of Personalization movement. On this show, I'm interviewing executives across multiple sectors to find out how the balance between standardization and personalization can exist. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Personalization Outbreak Podcast. Well-being in the workplace has been a major focus for a lot of research in the areas of mental health, employee engagement, emotional and psychological well-being, just to name a few. But one thing is clear: employers are now in the business of healthcare, and the need for employers to provide personalized care, especially benefits, to their employees will become increasingly urgent as chronic diseases continue to rise. How about if I told you this, that 6 in 10 Americans live today with at least one chronic disease? Now, to help us break this down and understand and how to better manage our health and wellness at work and beyond, our guest today is Dr. Greg Brannon. Now, Greg is a dear friend, but he's a special individual. And he's going to take you on a journey and a ride that you've never experienced before. You see, Greg's the founder and medical director at Optimal Bio, whose mission is to restore optimal health and wellness through bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, or otherwise known as BHRT. Now, Greg will also be a featured speaker at the Healthcare in the Age of Personalization Virtual Summit on June 6th, and you can learn more about Greg and the summit at healthcare.ageofpersonalization.com. Now, before we get started, please click the like button below, share it with your colleagues, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and social media at Glenn Llopis. Greg Brannon, my dear friend, great to have you on the show.
You too, Glenn. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it, buddy.
Oh, come on. And more than anything, congratulations on this book. It's spectacular. And, just to give people a sense of it, it's one that's going to change your life. How do I know that? Because it changed mine. I mean, you've opened my eyes to other ways for me as a 57-year-old man, as I go on that journey of aging, to get out in front of it and recognize that there aren't as many limitations as we're all led to believe in healthcare. So thank you for doing that for me, for my family, and for friends like you who care. But highly recommend it to all of you. Restore by Dr. Greg Brannon. By the way, I'm honored that you asked me to write the foreword of the book, and thank you for that. Thank you for that opportunity, Greg.
Thank you very much for the support, Glenn. I truly appreciate it.
Of course. I mean, look, Greg, health and wellness right now is the top topic, beyond politics, unfortunately, beyond wars.
Yep.
It's serious.
Yes.
I mean, I know we need to eat well, we need to sleep, we need to exercise. I mean, we really need to start looking from within to take care of ourselves, not to be selfish, but to be in better service of others.
Agree.
And I'd like to share this statistic to kind of put this conversation into full motion. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, 76% of US workers reported experiencing at least one symptom of mental health, whether that's stress, anxiety, depression, and burnout, underscoring the widespread impact and risk of our workforce. I know it's a big question, Greg, and you take it where you'd like, but how much can our body, mind, and soul endure? And don't large employers now have a responsibility here to do something about it? Because we can't keep putting people to the grind if this actually increases risks when they're not at their proper mental, physical, and emotional state.
Yeah, I mean, we get hit a lot there, but it's like the phrase human resources is very, very popular. But we're human, we're not resources. I want people to look at the individual. That's why I love your personalization here. There's also another study, this is pre-COVID. $1.3 trillion is spent on chronic health care in America. 90% of that, 90% of this chronic health care. It's if we can eliminate chronic health care somehow, physical, mental, emotional, we could decrease the cost. It's I believe healthcare insurance should be more mobile with the individual, but the system is the way the system is right now. And for a company to really care about its workers, its employees, because it is this organization, this organism, we want people to be healthy, not just to do their function, but to live their life. And I truly believe you cannot live life if you're sick, mentally, physically, at all. And we go to work. I understand to eat, pay bills. I got that. But most of us find a passion we want to do to help people. And the burden on companies to how to decrease their costs is if we could decrease chronic health care, that's crucial. And we'll spend time on testosterone, but it's the most abundant hormone in the human body's testosterone. It's 50 times higher in women than estrogen. It's not an option. This is not an option. Every cell needs it. But the problem is the last 50, 60 years, the amount in our bodies making has been destroyed by outside agencies, these xenoestrogens that mimic the body. So it's happening. We're working at 20, 15% capacity of what we could do for our health. You talk about anxiety and depression. One of the best treatments for anxiety and depression is optimal testosterone. In fact, in my practice, about 50 to 75% of all patients who come here for anxiety and depression are off their medications in 4 months because the brain literally needs testosterone to make more brain. It's called neuroplasticity, and the talk called synplasticity. So the body knows what it needs, Glenn. So the idea that you ask how much stress it can take. Our body's been wonderfully made. It can push speed to the limits, but is that healthy? That's why I wrote the book Restore, because I want to go back to go forward.
Tell us what you mean by going back to go forward, because one can talk about restore as if I need to kind of restore my life back so I can start moving in a more positive trajectory. But you look at this a little bit differently. Why restore, and why did you write this book today?
Yeah, you look at it today, it's very interesting. I'll get back to testosterone. I'm going to use these numbers, but it's important to understand the range of testosterone. It's a bell curve. 80% of people fall in this bell curve. I'm 63. For a male in America, that bell curve is roughly 800 to 1300. Now the bell curve is roughly 200 to 800. Why? Women, the bell curve is roughly 70 to around 200. Now it's 3 to 40. So the question is why 3, 4 generations ago, we worked at significantly higher levels of testosterone. In our body, testosterone becomes estradiol in both men and women. Estradiol is the rate limiter. It goes back to the hypothalamus, to the part of the brain, to control the production of testosterone. In the last 50, 60 years, we've bombarded with these fake estrogens, phthalates, pesticides, these organic phosphates, plastics. These things mimic the body. So today's number is a sick population. It's like saying today everybody in America is diabetes. Blood sugar is 300. So therefore, that's normal. Common does not make it healthy. And restore is important because this is it. People sometimes think the fountain of youth, being younger is the magic, elixir, the holy grail. No. Youthful chemistry plus the benefits of aging and wisdom, that to me is the holy grail. So I want to restore that vitality to live our future life. And that's what's very important to me, because it's important to understand that without your health, you truly can't live. And the reason restore is interesting. 90% of today's diseases were not here 100 years ago. And also 90% of our food wasn't here 100 years ago. So you got to go back, grass-fed, free range, as little pesticides as possible. That's what our body needs.
So, Greg, what is aging beyond the number of years you've been alive?
Oh, I like that phrase. Scientifically, it's called senescence. The cell has a programmed time. Every cell has a programmed time to live. And at the end of our DNA has this thing called telomeres that actually control. Picture the end of a shoelace when you have those little plastic knobs around that. When those plastic knobs in the shoelaces get aged and start to to fail up, then the thread comes out. That's what telomeres is. It protects your DNA code. Part of aging, part of aging is the shrinkage of telomeres. Part of aging is the speed in which the cells die off, called apoptosis. Uh, Programmed cell death that's controlled is beneficial. Certain cells you don't want to live forever. That's what cancer cells are. They're uncontrolled cell growth. So every cell is an optimal way to grow, to age. So that's part of it. Then the question is that's the cellular aspect of it. So, but there could be a way that our biological clock actually goes at a slower rate than our chronological clock. And there have been many studies showing keep your mitochondria healthier, higher fat diet, the proper amount of proper sugars, the proper amount of fat, the proper amount of sleep, have a decrease in stress. All these things seem to increase our health span. And that's what's important. I want longevity and health span to go concurrent. It's not, I'll be healthy for a short period of time. It's just the opposite. The healthier you are, the longer you live as well.
So, Greg, I have this question. Let's go back to the workplace, right? Because this is where I'm seeing, and I think a lot of your patients may not be sharing this with you, but we're working in workplace environments that are toxic.
Yes.
What do I mean? What do I mean by this? They're toxic because you have different demographics in workplace today. You have people that, they've just experienced COVID, a massive pandemic. So many people that lost their lives. And now people's priorities in life are changing. So they're at work doing what they're told to do, or maybe not. Maybe you've got a little bit more freedom. But in the end, the environment is fueled with people who are complaining about change, that don't believe in the work that's being done. I mean, yes, there's always a level of optimism, but we wouldn't be having all this mental health. 76% of employees reported it. What does a bad, toxic environment have to do with how people age?
Well, put stress. What happens is one of the hormone you make that actually is, I say, antithesis to actually healthy aging is cortisol. The more stress you have, the more your adrenals make a thing called cortisol. Cortisol is life saving for short spurts at a time, but having chronic release of cortisol increases visceral fat, belly fat, aging of skin, brain deterioration. So cortisol is the actual hormone that increases aging under stress. But it's very interesting. You brought this whole idea about the work environment. This whole idea of the greater good drives me crazy. I don't care what the organism is. I don't care in society. I don't care if it's work. I don't care if it's school. I don't care if it's politics. I don't care what it is. Society, the organism, is at its best when the individual is free to fail and succeed. See, failure is a very important, I'll say, landmark in our growth. And when you look at the greater good, when we do it the greater good, the problem is you miss the personalization of the individual. You look at the whole, not the individual. But the whole is better when Glenn or Greg or Bob or Mary has a chance to fail. And I think a great work environment is an opportunity to fail. Just don't do your job. Think outside the box. That's how great companies grow. Is they're not afraid to be. They don't pigeonhole everybody. You do your job. There's a function you have, but you're always thinking what ifs. The what ifs is what revolutionized the world, right? How many times did Edison fail before you got the light bulb? The what ifs are what I think drives a healthy business. If you always hear we do it our way without explaining why, I think you get trapped. I think you become trapped, become insidious. So I like, yes, we have, these are the reasons why we do our protocols. Here's why we do what we do. But what is your thought processes? So if you have a healthy environment that allows people to question the authority and to have, not just for fighting purpose, not just for debate, but to question and improve, I think that's the key. And in my field is healthcare. It's the individual, because nobody knows their body better than that individual. So a good physician, a good provider, a good team listens to their story. And that's what we do. We listen, we have ideas, we got to listen to the story, because the roadmap's not the same for everybody. To me, individualization, personalization is when society's at its best. And that's what we're going to focus on. If you're going to work and you're afraid to speak out on an idea that you're the one putting this widget together and you see it every single day, and you don't have the freedom to say, hey, there may be a better way for the widget, that's going to stifle you. Talk about hormones. There's your cortisol going up. There's your testosterone going down. There's insulin going up. All those are biochemical markers and response to a stressful environment. There's ways you want some stress to go up, and you want dopamine to go up. So if you're in an environment that pushes your dopamine, makes you feel good, you're excited to get going and thinking, that's a healthy environment. So you want stress. Stress makes you grow, but you want healthy stress, that there's a relief valve at the end of it.
It's a great way of putting it. And I think what you've just done is hopefully made a lot of leaders think that they are unknowingly creating these unhealthy environments, because that's the way we've always done things. And what you've opened my eyes to now is that when we're part of toxic environments, this is actually putting our businesses at risk.
Yes.
Poor decision making. We're not solving for the right opportunities. We don't know our people and their stories well enough to know if they can contribute in a way that is going to get us moving forward, not moving backward. And so at the end, it is our health and wellness that is at the center of that entire environmental ecosystem. Is that the message here?
Yes. At our company, our CEO, Tyler Brannon, her goal is to make everybody a leader. Everybody a leader. Because now, again, we all have to have different bosses at different ranks. But if you are a leader, initiative, you're a part owner of the company, then you're treat everybody as you want to be treated. It sounds trite, but it really is real. When somebody walks in, from the time they see your face or the phone call, or they see you in social media, and they see that you truly care about what you do, there's a passion that comes out. No matter what you do, the passion keeps us going. And again, I was a surgeon for years. I'm not anti-stress, but healthy stress with healthy valve removers, again, pushing the dopamine, not the cortisol. That's an environment we want to be in. You're intrigued to come to work. You're intrigued what's coming around the corner next, where the next idea is going to come from. You still got your principles, but you got to explain why you believe. I was taught, if you really know something, you can teach it. And so why do you believe your principles? Not because I said so. I'm the founder. That is a toxic place. Here's why. What ideas do you have? And that's, I think, has to go in anything we do. And as you said, it benefits the business. If our individuals are healthy, if our individuals have love coming to work, their juices are flowing, they're creative, there's just better output. Then they're not just a resource, they're a human being. It comes across very, very vividly.
So, Greg, let's shift gears again. And we can take these conversations wherever you like, but here's a little fact. And I thought maybe you can help us anticipate the unexpected here. Now, according to the Census Bureau, by 2024, adults age 65 and older is projected to reach 80.8 million. That's nearly 22% of the total U.S. population. We also need to keep in mind that by 2024, the U.S. will become a majority minority nation, which means what? That no single ethnic or racial group will constitute a majority of the total population. Now, with this in mind, how should organizations and aging populations start navigating health and wellness, especially when you consider that these culturally diverse populations today are the most susceptible to chronic diseases.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, but a couple things.
But and by the way, thank you for saying that.
Uh,
But notice that all of these things are interconnected.
Well, I agree, and I think what makes the American experiment so exciting is it is for many one. That's our motto, e pluribus unum, right? Different cultures, different food, different ethic, but there's a one commonality. The commonality is a government, a republic government based on the law, not the rule of men, but but the law in the sense of God's law, nature's law, because no men are above law. We see when that happens, that leads to tyranny. So what makes America great is our diverse culture. What makes our great is that diversity, but there's got to be a commonality of the American. I believe America is a philosophy. America is not a it's not a nation in the sense of you're these natural roots for 6,000 years. It's an area where people are yearning to be free, free markets. I think financially is one of the problems when you're overburdened with taxes and these burdensome bills and regulations destroys the actual production, your work. When half your money's going away to taxes, that to me we get a whole idea on that. But that is a huge burdensome when you're trying to make bills. Look at inflation, 22% last few years. These things are occurring. A true free market will actually lower fees, but that's a whole nother story. But I think the problem was we don't have market forces. I wrote a paper called Healthcare in America in 2010, and I went through the whole ACA bill. And the problem is in Article 1, Section in the Constitution, this at the federal level, there's nothing that allows them to do healthcare. And you can go back to the 1965 Medicare, Medicaid laws when healthcare is going through the roof. Because when you put government layers of bureaucracy involved, that increases stress on the business owner, the employee. So there's all these other layers that are outside of our ability. That's why I believe a free market answer is that way. A free market where you can compete in the free market.
So what do you do to help people get out in front of this increasingly aging population in the United States?
But it's going to get the aging. Aging is not bad. Healthy aging is actually a benefit. Social Security was started in 1933. You know why they picked 65? Because the average death was 61. African Americans' average death was 57. It's the worst regressive tax of all time. All right. So when you're saving money for your future, and you're not going to get there, what are you paying into? That's the system. As you know, there's this Social Security is insolvent. I know I'm putting a lot of political stuff in here, but it's not political. It's a concept of the man and woman in the mirror, the king and queen in the mirror, they should be responsible for their health care, their finances. But you have outside burdensomes out there, and there's always a safety net. That's what happens. Churches and synagogues and families, they will take care of each other more efficiently than a bureaucracy that's thousands of miles away. So, but bottom line is we have that system. The system is there. I got it. So let's try to make us individuals healthier, make environments where there's some time off. But you still got to understand that when I mean time off, I want people to want to come to work because they love what they do and it's an environment they want to be at. They're not just there for a paycheck. And that's leadership from the head of the owners of the company, the leaders of the company. Make an environment where you look like when it comes. Because then, therefore, that stress that makes us age will not be there. Then there's things to do to decrease your aging. Testosterone levels, low carbohydrates, good fats. There's sleep. Get rid of the phone. Get rid of the computers. Putting that dead time away. Reading real books. Going for a walk. Grounding. Simple things that can make your telomeres, the things we talked about, the aging, the dopamine increase. Do some push-ups. That's how you can age at a healthy level, right? If you're 80 with no medications, that's phenomenal. You just decrease your healthcare costs, right? Because I understand the key of medicine to me is not a band-aid on these medications. It's root cause. Why is there inflammation? Why are there disease processes? And I believe my book, Restore, goes through that, some of the reasons.
Well, Greg, take us back now specifically to the book. I mean, it's about restoring through optimal health, through bioidentical bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I mean, I know you wouldn't say this, so I will. You've been a modern day pioneer in this work. There's people out there that say, well, it's not FDA, approved. There are certain side effects. There's regulatory concerns, but is this standardization talking? Because it
Yes,
seems to me
yes,
that
yes.
that it's time to kind of look beyond the let's call it the traditional ways that we view healthcare and start exploring what's in the best interest of the individual. Why does BHRT matter to you? And help us understand some of the myths.
Okay, here's the myths. Bioidentical hormone, according to the Mayo Clinic, means body recognized as same. So this is the full secret is pharmacy companies cannot own organic molecule. They can't own it. They can't patent it. They can't make money on it. Bioidentical is we're not inventing anything. It's the structure your body makes. So if you're Ferrari and you take high octane gas, if you put water in it, it's not going to run. It's a fluid, but it's not a fluid. It has to be a combustible gas. And I make it real simple. Your body needs testosterone as the gasoline. Your thyroid and other endocrine gland is the carburetor, brings in oxygen to the body. You have your beautiful Ferrari. You can wash it and wax it and paint it and put air in the tires. You can't drive it without gasoline and a carburetor. That's what we do. That allows you to get the benefits of the car. So, but here's the thing: you talk about standardization. Outside agencies label things that are hormonally close as the same. They're not the same. That's what's important. For testosterone, as an example, the molecule your body makes lowers blood pressure, does not increase blood clots, and makes more brain. There are three classes of synthetic testosterones: an ester, 19-testosterone, and 17-alkylation. All those are anabolic and androgenic. They work, but there's side effects. Sometimes blood pressure, sometimes blood clots, and sometimes increased Alzheimer's by brain cells, brain cells get out sooner. But the agency calls it equal. They're not. One your body recognizes, one your body sort of recognizes. That's a huge difference. And that's what's important to understand that. And everybody, you glove them all together. You have a natural progesterone, lowers blood pressure, lowers breast cancer, lowers a heart attack. Synthetic ones increase heart attack, increase dementia, increase breast cancer because the molecules not do the mechanism exactly the body does it. So if the body is bioidentical, the structure is your body knows how to utilize it, metabolize it, and the key, eliminate it without toxic free radicals or changing other structures. That's what's important. So the answer is it's not a gimmick. It's the way your body makes it. And here's what nobody brings up. If your grandpa is 1,200, why is it okay for you to be 200? Show me the data where a healthy individual had less heart attack, less cancer, less breast cancer, less osteoporosis, all those things at that level. But now because everybody's 200, it's healthier. It isn't. It's a sick environment. And I'm tired of being told what normal is. Normal is when you feel great. And let's look back at the pre-plastic era, the pre-pesticide era, and look at those numbers, Glenn. That's where I want to put it. Again, I used the example as diabetes. If all of us are diabetic, you would never call diabetes normal. You say we all have a disease. We have a disease, and that's this dirty environment. And again, filtered water, grass-fed, restore, go backwards. Okay. So what I want to do is make sure our body is an amazing machine that, if given the right substrates, can actually be functional well to its 90s.
Well, with over 50 hormones regulating every system in the human body, how can we begin to manage the aging process? And what role do bioidentical hormone replacement therapy play?
Well, the foundational principle of any hormone, I'm trained in longevity medicine as well. The foundational for all longevity is testosterone. That's the building block. Everything builds off that. That is a molecule that causes transcription of more protein. It actually makes cells in our body that make us age slower. It increases the immune system. It decreases cytokines, decreases inflammation. It does everything that's anti-aging. That's what testosterone does at optimal levels. So the question is, do you want the levels of an 18-year-old or an 80-year-old? The problem is we're calling today's 18-year-olds normal who have previous levels of an 80-year-old. That's the issue.
Go deeper into that. I don't know if that one clicked for me.
Okay, so today's 20-year-olds are living with 80-year-old numbers from 3 generations ago. So 1970, males in North America have lost 1% per year their sperm level, 2% per year since 2002. A Hebrew University, MIT, did a study said by 2050, men in North America and Western Europe will be infertile 25 years. And we just blow through that. It's insanity. These things called phthalates, they look like estrogen. They block the production of testosterone. They increase the aromatization of estrogen. So it makes a very hyperestrogen state. This is very bad for women and men. So the answer is this. If you were swimming in a pool of a bunch of crap, you wouldn't say, well, I got a little bit of, you actually filter it out. You get rid of it. That's what I'm trying to say. We live in a dirty environment. So what I want to do is have our body hormone levels be at the I got the pre-plastic era, the pre-pesticide era. And then let's see about depression. Let's see about anxiety. The NIH did a great paper in 2013 saying the best thing for anxiety and depression, no SSRIs, none of that stuff. The number one treatment is testosterone. Number one.
Greg, what would you say if we get ready to close here? What are you concerned about? What concerns do you have about the number of businesses that are in the aging business? Because what do people trust? What should they trust? Any concerns?
My concern is we should do everything possible to get ourselves out of this business, meaning we don't want to make money on sickness. Okay? We don't want to make money because people are sick. The goal is they don't need us anymore. The goal is we could do things efficiently, as cheap as possible. Some things are not they cost nothing. Going for a walk, turning the computer off, go to sleep early, trying to get the best food you can. But the thing about this is I don't want a business that makes money on people's sickness. I want us to reverse our healthcare in the sense of being sick care and really be preventive. If we can become preventive both physically and mentally, we'll have a better individual and therefore a better society. So my goal is you don't wait for an accident to happen. If you see it happen, you'll turn left instead of turning right. Example, osteoporosis. We know all women lose 5% of bone after menopause, and 25% of osteoporosis are men. They wait till that happens, then they give a medication that makes hard, brittle bone that increases fractures down the line. How about eliminate it from the very beginning by keeping your hormone levels at a youthful level? There's no there's no increased cancer, there's no increased dementia, it's only benefit. I could do disease after disease after disease. This decreases diabetes by 250%. A man under 300 has double the risk of death of overall mortality by being under 300. So the data is there. The facts are there. So the answer is let's not wait for we're sick. Let's be preventive. We do that, we'll save money, we'll have better quality of individuals, and we'll have a better fulfilled life and a better business where you could go attack the world.
You know, Greg, I think you've said it best here, is that we've allowed the environment, whether it's natural resources environments, workplace environments, even the environments in our home, to pull us into quicksand. And we've been so stuck and can't get out of it that people have profited from it rather than help us all create better environmental systems so that we can take control of not only our lives, but our health and well-being. And what your objective here is to get people back at baseline and give them another opportunity to do what's right.
Right.
How'd I do there?
I love it because liberty demands responsibility. The king and queen is in the mirror. That's it. And I want people to know that. There's a great quote from an 1860s Arthur Schopenhauer. He said, a wise man says, we do not become conscious of the three greatest blessings in life, such as health, youth, and freedom, as long as we possess them, but only after they've been lost. So my goal is to regain our health, regain our youth, regain our freedom, whatever that looks for you. But remember, but compulsion is not superior to freedom. It is not. Liberty demands responsibility. And please, please look in the mirror, because you're the king and you're the queen. And you do that, society will be at its best.
Hence, it's time that we all restore, get back to baseline, and get us well above baseline for a happier, healthier, and more well-rounded life. Greg, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your knowledge and your time today. Any parting comments?
No, Glenn, you do a great job in articulating very well. The phrase you talk about, personalization, to me, that equals liberty. And I cannot thank you enough for that, because it is something that that's desperately needed right now.
Greg, thanks again. And as we leave every show, when you lead in the age of personalization, you will see things that others don't, do what others won't, and keep pushing when prudence says quit. Greg, thanks again. Greatly appreciate you.
Thanks for the honor, Glenn. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Personalization Outbreak. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a show. If you enjoyed the content, visit ageofpersonalization.com to check out our free streaming video series and learn how to get involved in the movement. I'm Glenn Llopis. I wish you a good day, and remember, without strategy, change is merely substitution, not evolution.